we push this out. And it's one thing for, somebody around the internet to see this and it get put out there, yada, yada, yada. But now a couple of things has happened. Number one, this clip was put out by USA Basketball themselves.
This didn't come from some random fan account chasing clicks. This wasn't a highlight aggregator or a bored intern reposting a moment from the archives. This clip came straight from USA Basketball's official account. Someone on their social media team deliberately chose this moment, Paige Bueckers blocking Caitlin Clark, and pushed it out to millions. And if you believe that decision was innocent, then you're not paying attention to how influence and power actually operate in women's basketball. Nothing at that level is accidental. Every post is a choice. Every choice sends a message.
Trying to tell me USA Basketball doesn't have agenda? It shined through loud and proud when Diana Taurasi made the Olympic team. And Caitlin Clark didn't. Diana Taurasi proceeded to be somebody that was holding the bench down. At the end of the bench, not even able to play. Too old, too tired. Nah.
Think back to 2024. The Olympic roster announcement landed, and Caitlin Clark's name was nowhere to be found. Instead, Diana Taurasi made the team, despite being clearly limited and barely seeing meaningful minutes in Paris. She spent most of the tournament on the bench, while the narrative leaned heavily on veteran leadership. Meanwhile, the most electrifying player in college basketball history, the one who shattered the NCAA scoring record and dominated every headline, never even got the call. From a basketball standpoint, it didn't add up. But once you understand who holds influence behind the scenes, the decision becomes painfully clear. Sue Bird, Gino Auriemma, the UConn pipeline that has shaped USA basketball for over 2 decades, was doing what it has always done.
The Angel Reese fans, the Paige Bueckers fans, they wet themselves, right? Yeesh. That's not something you want to think about. And it's one thing for the most horrible place known to man, called social media, to try to take victory laps with this. I mean, okay, you sort of expect that out of the worst of the worst. Do you not? Question mark?
Paige Bueckers fits that pipeline perfectly. That's not conjecture, it's observable reality. She checks the same boxes Sue Bird once did, and now you're watching the machinery begin to turn again. USA Basketball posts the clip, engagement explodes, the conversation starts early. By the time decisions are made for the 2026 World Cup or the 2028 Olympics, the groundwork will already be laid. The narrative will be familiar, rehearsed, and convenient. Paige feels inevitable, Caitlin feels questionable, and the public will be told this was simply the natural outcome.
WNBA insider Annie Costabile was among the media members present at Team USA training camp, and she addressed Clark's defense during the December 15th appearance on the Indy Stars Fever Insider podcast. Quote, "Her shot is still there. That was one of my leads, but that the shot of hers that we're all so familiar with is still there. Her speed was coming back, which I thought stood out. Obviously, her timing on passing, that was still impressive," Costabile said when I would assume Chloe Peterson asked her what stood out about Clark's Team USA performance.
Then comes the media reinforcement. Andrea Carter, a respected WNBA insider with Front Office Sports, attended the December 15th Team USA training camp. Later, on the Indy Stars Fever Insider podcast, she broke down what she saw from Caitlin Clark. The praise came first. Her shooting looked strong, her speed was returning, her passing timing stood out. Then came the qualifier. Defense still needs work. Carter mentioned Clark matching up against Kelsey Plum and Paige Bueckers, framing it as an early look at how those two might operate together down the line. Listen closely to that language. Not if they'll play together, when. The conclusion had already been quietly baked in.
And then seeing her and Paige on each other. I don't think it's a matter of one versus the other. You're watching, kind of evaluating how these two players are going to operate together one day. And I think that was so more exciting than telling. I mean, It's funny. So we're going to take the one thing about Caitlin's game and we're going to go after Caitlin over it. You knew that was going to happen. This was going to happen. We're going to zero in on this one thing after she'd been injured. Played 13 games.
Here's the context that rarely makes it into those conversations. Caitlin Clark played just 13 games after returning from injury last season. 13. She didn't have a true offseason to sharpen her defense. She was rehabbing. She didn't have a full training camp to rebuild conditioning. She was managing her return. Then she steps into a December showcase, still shaking off rust, and suddenly her defense becomes the headline critique. Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers has missed significant portions of her career due to injuries, including an ACL tear and a tibial plateau fracture. Yet you don't hear the same scrutiny applied to her lateral movement, endurance, or defensive consistency. The questions aren't asked equally. The standards aren't enforced evenly.
Like 3 times. Man, delete this. Yeah, this is USA Basketball posting this. I mean, what are they doing? They knew this was gonna be a Caitlin Clark versus haters post, and that the haters were gonna swarm this. To be honest, it's unprofessional that USA Basketball posted this and pointed it out. They knew that was going to get seized on.
Look at the comments under that USA Basketball post. This is exactly what they anticipated. Paige cooked her. Barbecue chicken? Caitlin's overrated. Paige over Caitlin every time. The backlash arrived right on schedule, and that's the point. USA Basketball didn't post that clip to showcase elite defense or celebrate competition. They posted it because they knew it would ignite debate, drive engagement, and supply ammunition to critics who've been waiting for a reason to tear Caitlin Clark down. This is narrative construction in real time. You introduce the perception early, you let it marinate online. Then, months later, when roster decisions are announced, you point back and say, see? The evidence was always there. The decision looks reactive, but it was planned.
That the haters were going to seize on this. Honestly. Please, someone please gift that. I can already hear the CC fans coming. See, I mean, they knew what they were doing. They knew. Cooked CC. Shout out to USA Basketball for giving us the content we wanted.
UConn influence isn't subtle, and it never has been. Gino Auriemma was praising Paige Bueckers long before she ever stepped onto a WNBA court. Sue Bird has remained a central voice within USA Basketball for years, shaping philosophy, culture, and direction. Now, media insiders echo the same themes. Caitlin is flawed, Paige is polished. Caitlin is exciting, Paige is reliable. Caitlin is the present, Paige is the future. That's how the system operates. It's not purely about performance in the moment. It's about alignment with the people who hold power and the storylines they prefer to tell.
Agenda. Propaganda. Tell me what you think. It is Caitlin Clark fans against everyone all over again. Here we go. Here we go. It's not even 2026 yet. So it begins.
Now zoom out. Caitlin. Clark didn't just elevate her own profile, she elevated the sport itself. She filled arenas across the country. She drove television ratings women's basketball hadn't seen in decades. She pulled in casual fans, skeptics, and first-time viewers, then carried that momentum straight into the WNBA. And for all of that impact, she was passed over for the Olympics in favor of a veteran who couldn't stay on the floor. Now the same pattern is emerging again. USA Basketball circulates clips that elevate Paige while inviting criticism of Caitlin. Media voices isolate Caitlin's weaknesses without full context. UConn connections continue to shape decisions at the highest levels. And the most frustrating truth of all? Caitlin Clark has no control over any of it. She doesn't control what USA Basketball posts. She doesn't control how insiders frame their analysis. She doesn't control the conversations happening behind closed doors. All she can do is perform, dominate, and hope that excellence eventually outweighs politics. But if you've followed women's basketball long enough, you already know how this story usually ends. The UConn Circle always protects its own.